Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in EDH. Today we are looking at Merfolk Tribal. So in this case, the commander is going to be Kumena, Tyrant of Rozga. Now, Merfolk doesn't specifically have to be green, but I do think that various cards in green substantially add to how good the deck is. I also think that Kumena is the best of the Merfolk-related commanders. But anyways, Kumena is a 3-mana 2/4. And it says tap another untapped Merfolk you control to make Kumena unblockable. Tap 5 untapped Merfolk to put a +1 counter on each Merfolk you control. And then what I think is the most relevant ability, the second ability, tap 3 untapped Merfolk you control to draw a card. That one is going to be the main sticking point, although the third ability is relevant as well. So looking at our Merfolk, we've got various ones. There's 24 Merfolk in this deck, or Merfolk related cards. So right off the bat, I'll say that Merfolk Tribal is not going to be the most efficient or powerful thing you could be doing. And so you're going to be playing a lot of cards that in any other deck I would find to be suboptimal and probably wouldn't bother with. This is basically the list of what I thought were the best Merfolk that I could scrounge up for a Merfolk Tribal deck. So starting off, we've got Curse Catcher. This is sack it, counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 1. This is not really that great of an ability, but I did want a 1-mana Merfolk, and this is the best one that you can get. Then you've got what I'll call the beatdown Merfolk in Deeproot Champion and Deeproot Elite. So Deeproot Champion is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put a +1 counter on it. And Deeproot Elite is whenever another Merfolk enters the battlefield, you put a +1 counter on target Merfolk you control. So it doesn't just have to be itself, you can split up the counters onto other things. But these are going to be the ones that are just Merfolk that get incrementally bigger as the game goes along. These are also among the cards that are probably the easiest to cut since their effects really aren't that great. Then we've got the token generators. So Deeproot Pilgrimage is whenever one or more non-token Merfolk you control become tapped, you create a 1/1 blue Merfolk with Hexproof. And Deeproot Waters, whenever you cast a Merfolk, you create a 1/1 blue Merfolk with Hexproof. And in specific, the tokens are going to really be good with Kumena, and Kumena's ability is also good with this one because this one triggers on things tapping and Kumena tap stuff. Then we've got Emperor Mihail II. 3/3, you may look at the top card of your library, you may cast Merfolk spells from the top, and whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you may pay 1, and if you do, create a 1/1 blue Merfolk. Again, the ability to create tokens is pretty good with Kumena, who can tap your tokens to draw cards. Empress Galena, although she is expensive at 5 mana and requiring another 2 to activate, her ability is tap, gain control of target legend or legendary permanent. So you just gain control of legendary permanents. So this is obviously relevant for taking control of your opponent's commanders, but it's relevant for other things as well, like you can steal opponents' Gaia's Cradles with this, for example. Fallow Sage is whenever it becomes tapped, you may draw a card. So again, if you're tapping this with Kumena, you can just draw an extra card off of the trigger here. Kiora's Follower, this is in here primarily to be essentially a mana dork that is also a Merfolk. But the ability to untap anything is also relevant for cards like Gaia's Cradle and the One Ring. Kopala is our protection. So spells your opponents cast that target a Merfolk you control cost 2 more. Same with abilities. Then we've got Lord of Atlantis and Master of the Pearl Trident. These are our lords that also give us Island Walk. I don't think they're particularly great, but they do allow us to have a beatdown game plan. The main sticking point, like I would not play them if they just gave +1. The main breaker here is the Island Walk. We've got Lull Mage Mentor. Whenever a spell or ability you control counters a spell, you may put a 1/1 blue Merfolk token onto the battlefield. So counter spells equal, you get a token. And then you can tap 7 untapped Merfolk to counter target spell. We've got Marrow Commerce. At the end of your turn, untap all Merfolk you control. This is a tribal enchantment Merfolk. So we've seen so far that we have various cards that tap Merfolk to do things. Cards like, of course, our commander Kumena, but we also have cards like Lull Mage Mentor. So Marrow Commerce allows us to basically have a Seedborn Muse for Merfolk at only 2 mana. We've got Marrow Reejery. This is another one of our lords that has, whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you may tap or untap target permanent. Again, the tapping and untapping is relevant for things like the Ring, Gaia's Cradle, etc. We've got Seafloor Oracle. Whenever a Merfolk you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So it's basically Toski, Edric, any of those effects, but just for Merfolk. Sea Hunter. So Sea Hunter is not a Merfolk, but it is a card that tutors Merfolk. It is expensive, at 4 to cast and 3 to activate, so 7 mana before you're getting anything out of it. But then thereafter, it allows you to just tutor Merfolk directly out of your deck onto the battlefield. And again, anything that untaps this is great. Things like Kyora's Follower and Mirror Regery. We've got Stonybrook Banneret. 2 mana, 1/1 with Island Walk. Merfolk spells and wizard spells cost 1 less. Zvielin, which is indestructible as long as you control 2 other Merfolk. Gives your other Merfolk ward 1, and whenever it attacks, you draw a card. Thada Adel. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you search their library for an artifact and exile it, and then until end of turn, you may play that card. So this can be a way to either snag combo or other like problem cards out of your opponent's deck, or just play them yourself. Like you can hit your opponent and just steal a Soul Ring, for example, and Island Walk makes it harder to block. Thieving Skydiver is a card that steals artifacts when you cast it based on whatever the kicker was. So the kicker has to be at least 1, and then you steal a artifact of mana value, whatever the kicker was. So you're usually paying at least 3 mana for this, but you can, again, steal your opponent's Soul Rings, their Mox Diamonds, their Mana Crypts, etc. Then we've got Tishana, Voice of Thunder. This is quite expensive at 7 mana, but it is power and toughness equal to the number of cards in your hand. You have no max hand size. And ETB, draw a card for each creature you control. Vodalian Hexcatcher, a Flash Lord that gives you the ability to sack a Merfolk to force spike a non-creature spell. So it basically turns all of your Merfolk into curse catchers that can hit any non-creature, not just instants or sorceries. And then finally, Wanderwine Prophets, 6 mana, champion a Merfolk. When it enters, you have to sack it unless you exile another Merfolk, and then when it leaves, you get the exiled Merfolk back. And when it deals combat damage to a player, you may sack a Merfolk if you do take an extra turn after this one. So this is obviously going to be involved in combos, particularly good when we're making like a bunch of 1/1 random tokens that we don't care about sacking. So this is perfectly fine with Wanderwine Prophets. So then apart from that, we've got all of our ramp spells, which do include non-Merfolk creatures, Arbor Elf, birds, Delighted Halfling, etc. We've got Elven Chorus as a ramp/card engine, giving all of our creatures the ability to tap for any color and able to cast creatures off the top of our deck. Some removal sweepers, some tutors. And then we've got what I've dubbed the untapper effects. So obviously we've got effects that care about tapping stuff, particularly Kumena. So anything that untaps stuff is going to be particularly helpful. So of course, what we've already seen, Intruder Alarm, Marrow Commerce. We do have a Seedborn Muse. Mercfiend Liege is untap all green and blue creatures you control during each other player's untap step. And then Quest for Renewal is whenever a creature you control becomes tapped, you may put a quest counter on it, and then as long as there's 4 more quest counters on it, untap all creatures you control during each other player's untap step. So Kumena alone already taps 3 creatures right away, and if you have a 4th Merfolk, can just tap that Merfolk with its first ability. So you can pretty quickly just get all the counters on Quest for Renewal, and then just use Kumena's ability to keep drawing cards every turn. So of course we've got our Manamo, our Gaia's Cradle. Those are going to be pretty obvious. Bunch of counter spells, whole bunch of card draw, including other effects that are similar to Seafloor Oracle. So Edric, Toski. If we're playing a deck that's playing a bunch of creatures, especially if we plan on attacking with them, we do want to draw cards off of these things. We've also got, again, Distant Melody, Kindred Discovery, just anything that's drawing cards based on the tribal affinities. Titan of Littjara basically does the same thing. ETB, draw equal to our creature count of that type, and then discard just 1 card. And then we've got Coat of Arms for more beatdown since we're a tribal deck. So then apart from that, we've got Cryptic Gateway, which we can use. We can tap 2 untapped Merfolk to cheat a Merfolk into play. And then lastly, we've got all of our combo pieces. So Dramatic Scepter right here is obviously great. It can do the typical thing of untapping mana dorks or rocks to generate infinite mana, or we can just use it in combination with Kumena plus any other 2 Merfolk to draw our entire deck. So if we've got Isochron Scepter, Dramatic, and then 2 mana worth of rocks or dorks, and then we have Kumena and 2 other Merfolk in play, we draw our whole deck. And if we have the ability to do more than that, we can use Kumena's last ability to put infinite counters on all of our Merfolk and then just beat down with that. We've also got Opposition. Since we have so many effects that are untapping things, which is not just Dramatic Scepter, but all of the untap effects that I showed below, and also Intruder Alarm, we can use this as a stacks piece to keep all of our opponent's lands tapped, or just anything else that we need tapped. And then lastly, we've got Shrieking Drake, which is basically here to combo with Intruder Alarm, because as long as we have Shrieking Drake, we can play it, it will trigger itself and Intruder Alarm. It untaps all of our guys. We pick Shrieking Drake back up, and then we can just play it again over and over and over. As long as we have just one creature that generates a mana, the Shrieking Drake can be played infinitely. And we do have creatures that generate mana in things like Arbor Elf, Birds, Kiora's Follower, but then we also just have like Elven Chorus to give all of our guys the ability to tap for mana. And then Wanderine Prophets can be an infinite turn card in certain situations if we have the ability to keep making infinite Merfolk tokens, or just a pseudo-infinite turn card if we have the ability to consistently make at least one Merfolk token a turn. So maybe we can't make infinite tokens, but maybe we can like pretty consistently make at least one Merfolk token a turn, and therefore we get to take infinite turns. So Kumena actually winds up being a pretty good card when we are at a medium amount of Merfolk. We can use it to draw cards, and then when we start getting more Merfolk out, we can either use it as an infinite outlet to draw tons of cards, or we can just start putting tons of counters on our guys, or potentially infinite counters on our guys, and then overrun the opponent. And we can, of course, win in other ways, but primarily it's going to be Kumena, and then overrun the opponent by putting infinite counters on stuff. We could also run Thoracle if we wanted to, because we technically can draw our whole deck. And Thoracle is a Merfolk, but we don't strictly speaking need to. But if you wanted to, you could just throw Thoracle in here. And so, yep, that is going to be Merfolk Tribal with Kumena at the helm.